Well, welcome everyone to Money and Meaning, Kinder Institute of Life Planning's blog, where we tell the stories of registered life planners from around the globe. I'm Lora Woodward, Communications Director, and this is our I'm a Registered Life Planner series. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Marcus Chapman, Director of Worthy Financial Planning based in Winchester, England. Welcome, Marcus.
Hi, Laura. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing well. So let's just start by, it says on your website you have 20 years of experience in financial planning services. How did you get into the profession?
I first got into the profession when I left university back in the early 90s, and I got a job with Prudential up in Leicester, which is near the university I was at. I did pretty well at that, but I didn't really enjoy the work. And I left after about 12 months or something like that. And I just did lots and lots of different things. I was a little bit lost, if I'm honest, and just finding my way, trying to be, a grown up, but failing at that. And then in 1999, I was living in Leicester, and again, it was a big town too far from the sea. So I decided to head home, which for me at the time was Southampton, just to be nearer sort of some better friends and social connections and stuff like that. So I came back, and I remembered I still was, good with figures, and I enjoyed helping people. So I got a job with a dreaded estate agency in Southampton, and came back as a mortgage broker.
Yeah, that's great. And so when did you start your own firm?
So I became self-employed in 2003 and went with my best friend's parents' firm. But then in 2012, they had an advisor leave, and it became too expensive for them just to have one advisor that they were looking after. So I've been doing my exams and decided to be a full IFA all around when the credit crunch hit. So that wasn't exactly the best timing, but never is. And at the end of 2012, I moved over to Active Financial Partners. I interviewed about 16 different firms, and they seemed to be the ones that were most open to me running a business the way I wanted to. So it was an opportunity for me to maybe, go against all the things that I found difficult in the industry about how it was run. And, I'd had some experiences where I felt the client's interests just weren't at the center of what was going on. And I found that deeply uncomfortable. I was constantly in trouble as a mortgage broker working for big firms, not sending cases to certain lenders because they had backhand arrangements with the company.
Yeah. And then what drew you to Kinder Institute's training curriculum?
I was thinking about that, and I can't remember a specific time. A couple of years beforehand, I'd found a group of advisors purely by chance, and as I now see it, the universe was just, bringing things to my attention. I'm a huge believer in that. And there's a group called Inspiring Advisors in England, which is sort of headed up by Paul Armson, that was really about trying to do the right thing by the clients and really helping them use their money to live a really good life. So I joined that and was doing that. I was meeting much better brokers that were more interested in the clients than just the money. And I honestly, I don't know. I think in a publication I saw the George Kinder questions. I remember seeing them in a magazine and showing to my wife and saying, "Oh, these look really, really interesting." Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I looked at it, and because it was residential and you had to pay for the training itself seemed expensive, and then with accommodation and food on top at Gaunt House, I kind of let that become an excuse not to do it because I didn't have a lot of money. But then when COVID hit, the universe again was taking care of me and said, well, okay, we're going to take away all those costs. Right. And I got the Life Planning for You book, and I read some of George's books, and it just seemed, I'd come from a background where my parents ran enlightenment intensives and did dyads and did lots of things, so meditations and things. So I've always had an interest in that area. And whilst not being particularly religious, I'd like to think I was trying to be spiritual. And Buddhism would always be the one, if you put a gun to my head and said, you have to choose, that would have been it. So I think I saw somewhere it said where financial planning meets Buddhism. And I'm like, that can't be true. That couldn't possibly be true, because if I could combine those two elements, then that truly would be blissful.
Wow. Yeah, it does seem like the universe was conspiring for you to be on this path.
Absolutely. And that was at the right time in my life as well, because I've
Yeah.
been through various crises that meant that it was the right time for me. I'd started to resolve a lot of my conflicts, and therefore it was the right time for me to be able to now take what I'd learned and make it useful for the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And so then you became a registered life planner in 2021, early part of 2021. So during the
Yeah.
pandemic. And how did it impact how you were working with your clients?
It was just huge, to be honest. I had kind of been trying to work at a deeper level with clients, etc., and I didn't really. It was very much hit and miss, I would say. So what the training did is it gave me a structure, which helped me to follow a certain path. And after doing it a couple of times, I realized the structure actually worked and people weren't scared of it. And because I'm quite an open and vulnerable person myself, I just found people being really open with me. So the conversations changed significantly, a lot more tears. Yeah, and you know, they're just completely different, you know, and I know the clients love them as well.
If you're willing to share, is there a client success story from even just the short time that you've been a life planner?
Yeah, I think yeah, it was almost before I was a life planner, but I had some knowledge of the kinder technique. But it's I had some clients for many years that I've been doing their pensions and stuff. Lovely couple in their 70s. Used to go to Barbados twice a year, traveled a lot, so really living a good life. But when we got to the third question, and it was, is there anything you wish you'd have done? He replied without any hesitation, watch cricket at the base of Tabletop Mountain in South Africa. So it was just oh, okay, where did that come from? He'd been married to his wife for just 50 years. They celebrated whatever anniversary that is. And she got quite annoyed because she turned to him and said, "You never told me that." So I remember the hairs on my arm standing on end at that point, thinking, this guy's just told me something he's not told the most important person in his life, who he's been with for 50 years, in a financial planning meeting. He's just told me something. So we explored that, and he came up with various reasons why he hadn't done it, and we went through obstacles and doing all of that. And he ended up going. And it was just before the pandemic. He flew out to Cape Town and he went to Robben Island, and he watched England play cricket. Now, bear in mind, England haven't won a test match there in 47 years. And it comes down to the last day. So these are 5-day matches for any of the US viewers. So they can be quite boring affairs, but this is pretty exciting. About half an hour left in the last day. England need to win, and they win. And I was following it on the screen, so I couldn't help myself. I phoned his mobile straight away, and he answered, and I could hear the crowd going crazy, and I could hear the joy in his voice. And when he got back, he sent me an email and said, "Thank you so much for helping me fulfill one of my dreams." Yeah. And I get emotional saying it now as well, because it's simply, to get that from anyone is really special. It's really special. So these we hug when we meet. they're such good friends. I love them dearly and just want the best for their lives. So I mean, that without doubt was a huge success.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's a beautiful story. Thank you. You certainly brought tears to my eyes just listening to you. So one of the things that happens through our training is that you also are life plan, because it's important to us that you are walking the walk and that you're living into your own life plan. What came out as the process for you?
Oh, well, yeah, this was a big one for me. I mean, the cost, even if I had paid for the residential thing, would have been worth it for the change in my own life. Regardless of all my clients, I look at it as the best money that's ever been spent, purely because of the way it helped me. and in a unusual way that probably wouldn't help other people. But I just remember distinctly during the 4-day, and I had Louis as the trainer, who's just such a wonderful person. And I think I certainly used to do it before, I still do it, I guess, which is when I'm around a group of people, I try and ask a question that makes it seem like I'm really clever, or that to demonstrate that I'm understanding so much better than everybody else that's going on. And I did it 2 or 3 times during the week. And Louis just kept saying, yeah, that's fine, Marcus, but tell me, how is it you feel? And I just didn't have any answer. But I came to a realization on the Friday, and I actually broke down in tears saying, I just realized that I spent my whole life hiding my feelings because my life hurt so much from my childhood and things that had happened to me and the way I behaved. And then understanding that I needed to go to that place and just be okay and understand how I feel, not how I think, was truly transformational. It really was. It was just, yeah. So when I'm content now, or in the past, I would say I'm content. Oh, I'm content because I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And now I just say, I feel really content. Ah.
Yeah.
And that's it. There doesn't have to be a reason. And it's beautiful. So yeah. And if I'm angry or upset, I can just say, hey, I'm just feeling really upset. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It's just my feeling. So getting out of my head was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And that feeling of the feelings, it's so freeing to just be there in those emotions.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I didn't even see the prison I was in myself. So.
Yeah. Whew.
Oh.
What's next in your own life planning journey?
Well, I mean, true to form, I've got on with it. I've been on a couple of retreats this year, which has just been wonderful. So that was part of my own spiritual journey that I wanted to look at. But what's next is so super exciting. That my family are off on a holiday of a lifetime, where we go down to see my stepfather in France, but we decided we're going to stop off in Paris and we're going to fly to the Azores, which are a couple of thousand miles off the coast of Portugal. And the main driver for doing that is to swim with wild dolphins.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. And the universe found this for me too.
Yeah. That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah. And then there's an adventure company there because we're a very active family. I do triathlons and ultra marathons, and my son's super active, and my wife's a yoga teacher and does paddle boarding, and we've got a little dinghy. So there's also, we're going to do canyoning, which is where you abseil down warm waterfalls. We're going to do e-biking and stand-up paddle boarding. We're going climbing. We're going co-steering. And it's just and whale watching. Wow. So because we all love nature, we love being outside of nature. So we've got this wonderful 9-day trip to the Azores. And again, what the process did for me, it's like there are 7 days in the week, but some day isn't one of them. It gave me this sense of it's important to do everything now. And when I said to my wife, that we're going to do it and we're going to book it, she burst out crying. And she said her and her mother, who passed away about 3 years ago, had for 40 years had discussed swimming with wild dolphins. And they just never did it. So
yeah.
So we're gonna get it done, and then each year we're going to go have one big holiday. And what that does is saving money for these things isn't an issue anymore, because it's what's most important to us, and it has a good reason. I'm not going on these holidays to impress anybody. It's because this is the thing that means most to us as a family of 3, and we do it next. So we discuss where we want to go and what we want to do, and we do the next best one next.
Yeah. You have that clarity of what is most important to you, and so everything else kind of falls in line behind that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And so what would be a piece of advice? So, I mean, not only is this transformational for you personally and your family, your community, everyone that you're connected with gets the benefit of you living into your most fulfilled life, but you're also delivering this for your clients, and that has this ripple effect that is just so profound and meaningful. What would be some advice that you would give to a life planner that's just starting out through the process and wants to do this as part of their own profession?
I think it's to be brave.
Mm.
It is to trust in the process and just follow it, even at times when it feels awkward and it feels difficult. Is just accept that and move forwards. You know, it's the single biggest thing, because sometimes it's just easy to run for cover in the financial element of things, but this stuff's really important. You know, it's really important to help people, help them uncover what's really important to them. And I found a lot of clients found it, they find it really quite hard because nobody's really asked and listened to them before.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you. So anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I don't think so. It's just, it's a wonderful process. I'd recommend it to absolutely anybody as an advisor or not an advisor to go through the process. And if you are an advisor doing it, just keep getting the refreshers, keep learning, because it's a journey.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you, Marcus. This has been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate having this time with you.
No, thank you very much.